Realman warns Clay about the dangers of exploring dungeons alone, emphasizing that even a small mistake can lead to death. He instructs her to stay alert and feel the presence of monsters rather than relying solely on sight. Clay reflects on her father's strength and the time that has passed since his disappearance in the dungeon. As she prepares to tackle the ninth floor, she recounts her training and the challenges of facing intelligent monsters that form parties. Clay observes the buff goblins and decides on a strategy to take them out. A powerful monster appears, and Clay realizes it is tougher than the previous foes she faced. Just as she considers her next move, the situation escalates with the walls of the dungeon collapsing, which leads to a discussion about the seriousness of the issue. Belle arrives, clarifying that the collapsing wall was her fault and apologizing for the trouble caused. She then introduces herself as the dungeon's administrator and expresses her intent to work with Clay. The conversation shifts as Clay learns about Belle's role and the dungeon's management, leading to an unexpected proposal for her to assist in overseeing operations. Clay questions Belle's authority and confirms her own capabilities after reaching the ninth floor. After some negotiation, Clay agrees to work in the dungeon under certain conditions, including a challenge against Belle. In the following moments, Clay's resolve strengthens as she contemplates her father's fate and prepares to face Belle in combat. The battle escalates with a magical attack from Belle, which overwhelms Clay. Upon waking up in Belle's room, Clay learns that they have moved to the 11th basement floor, and she accepts the position offered to her. As they discuss the nature of dungeon management, Clay comes to realize the complexities of her new role and the relationships she will need to build. Belle explains the daily operations, which includes hiring monsters and maintaining the dungeon. Clay agrees to start working with Belle, acknowledging the unique challenges ahead. The tour of the dungeon begins, showcasing its facilities and revealing the work that lies ahead for Clay. Belle emphasizes the need for a collaborative environment and introduces Clay to the responsibilities of her new role, fostering a sense of teamwork. As they navigate the complexities of the dungeon, Clay begins to see the value in her position and the potential for growth. Ultimately, Clay accepts her new life in the dungeon, ready to embrace the challenges and opportunities that come with managing a complex ecosystem. With a mix of determination and curiosity, she steps forward into her role, eager to learn and contribute to the dungeon's operation. In the dungeon, Rangadoo expresses surprise at Clay's eagerness to help with the cleanup. Belle explains that Clay wants to keep herself busy and not get rusty, despite Rangado's initial reluctance to accept help. He acknowledges the necessity of cleaning up the control room and appreciates Clay's initiative. As they work, Clay efficiently completes tasks around the dungeon, showcasing her skills as she supplies different areas. Rangadoo marvels at her ability to navigate through the bustling first floor filled with explorers. Clay responds that her training has made her adept at such challenges. Their conversation shifts to Rangado's surprise at Clay's quick movements, acknowledging that it's impressive to evade attention while refilling treasure chests. Clay clarifies her strategy for remaining unnoticed and explains how she uses the environment to her advantage. Rangadoo finds her confidence intriguing, although he worries about her safety. Clay reassures him, emphasizing that mistakes can lead to learning. The atmosphere is lively as they share humorous banter about cleaning and the golem's reactions to Clay's influence. Clay offers to assist with cleaning, suggesting they keep only useful items. Belle, impressed by Clay's insight, seems to appreciate her approach. As they wrap up for the day, Belle hints at wanting to be friends with Clay, who feels hesitant about the idea. Meanwhile, Clay takes a moment to reflect on her odd role as both a worker and a monster in the dungeon, leading to a lighthearted suggestion from Belle to read with a smile. As the scene transitions, the focus shifts to Clay's growing involvement and a hint of adventure as they prepare for the next episode, indicating challenges ahead, particularly with the Ice Wolf's fangs. In the next section, Clay's evolving dynamics with Belle and the other dungeon inhabitants unfold as they discuss cleaning strategies and the importance of teamwork. Clay expresses gratitude for a chair made by Rangadoo, reflecting on her growing appreciation for her surroundings and companions. Belle admires Rangato's work on the weapons and armor, highlighting his skills in a lighthearted manner. As the party observes the explorers, Clay's experience and insights offer valuable lessons about the dungeon's challenges and the nature of teamwork, leading to discussions about their strategies for potential encounters with explorers. The anticipation builds as Clay considers the implications of fighting alongside the Ice Wolf's fangs, ultimately realizing the importance of her role in the larger context of dungeon dynamics. With rising stakes, Clay prepares for a confrontation with the explorers, taking advice from Rangadoo on maintaining her focus and strategy during battles. As Clay engages in the combat, she acknowledges her transformation and the thrill of being part of the dungeon's life. In a moment of self-discovery, Clay reflects on her identity within this complex ecosystem, realizing the interconnectedness of her role as both a monster and a manager. Finally, as the team regroups, the narrative hints at upcoming adventures and challenges in the dungeon, leaving room for Clay's continued growth and her evolving relationships with her fellow dungeon inhabitants. Belle expresses relief at the absence of explorers on the 7th floor, indicating that their work is complete. Clay, feeling out of place and questioning her purpose, compares herself to seaweed washed ashore, hinting at her struggle with the life of constant battle. In a lighter moment, Belle suggests dancing while reading to cheer up Clay, teasingly remarking that her reading was more gymnastics than dancing. Clay then reflects on a significant incident, the vanishing of the Thieves' Guild headquarters in the capital, where it mysteriously disappeared without a trace, leaving only a deep hole behind. This revelation leads to a discussion about their current location beneath the Antimerg Thieves Guild, surprising Clay as she learns that the dungeon supplies items for exploration to the guild. The dialogue shifts as Renfringe, the guild master, reveals his admiration for Clay's skills and acknowledges her unique position within the dungeon's management. Clay expresses her surprise about the dungeon's influence on the thieves' operations and the necessity of expanded bags and return scrolls for exploration. Belle explains that this system was established by her predecessor to reduce deaths from traps, highlighting the importance of education regarding dungeon dangers. As the conversation continues, Clay and Renfringe discuss her ongoing search for her father, who she believes may still be in the dungeon. Renfringe expresses his concern about the lack of evidence regarding Mr. Brince's whereabouts, reinforcing the bond between them as they navigate the complexities of dungeon life. Belle reassures Clay about their delivery system security, using markers on expanded bags to track them. Clay's mind races with the implications of this information, leading her to consider the possibility of following a bag to her father. Rangadoo, noticing Clay's growth and determination, offers to help her maintain her weapon, emphasizing the importance of mutual improvement between the user and their tools. Their dialogue reveals how Clay's character is embraced within the group, as Rangadoo and Belle recognize her as one of their own. Clay appreciates Rangato's kindness, contrasting it with her past experiences, and reflects on her father's influence on her journey. Belle introduces the monster lodgings and the arena for training, highlighting the dungeon's vibrant community. In the arena, Clay encounters high goblins, showcasing her curiosity and willingness to engage with the guild's residents. As the training progresses, Clay becomes aware of her own limitations, yet remains determined to improve her skills. After a tense sparring match with Rielmond, both acknowledge their progress and the need to keep training. As the dialogue concludes, Clay reflects on her father's teachings and the potential of her abilities, recognizing the importance of her experiences in the dungeon. Ultimately, she begins to understand her role and responsibilities within the dungeon community, paving the way for her future challenges. Clay acknowledges her initial hesitation in her new role, admitting that she only handled simple tasks. Belle reminds her that she managed to deal with explorers on the 7th floor, highlighting her capabilities. Clay deflects, stating that it was Belle who listened to her requests. Belle emphasizes that being hired means she has responsibilities to fulfill, and Clay's presence itself contributes to the work environment. As they discuss their working relationship, Clay realizes that her current status feels like she's on standby, waiting for specific duties. Belle reflects on her own decision-making process and admits she has yet to determine how best to utilize Clay's talents. She then suggests that Clay help her with creating treasure, prompting Clay to ask for clarification on what that entails. Clay is surprised to learn that they need to prepare materials for treasure, which must be kept away from potential hazards. Belle explains that they need to add magical effects to the items, and they begin brainstorming ideas together. Their discussion transitions into a lighthearted exchange, with Clay agreeing to help as long as they also clean up afterwards. Just then, Rangadoo interrupts, questioning their approach to creating novelty items for treasure chests. Clay responds with an apology, realizing that they may have gotten carried away with their creativity. Rangadoo offers to guide Clay through the equipment-making process, but only after they tidy up. They delve into the intricate workings of treasure creation and the difference in quality of items made by various individuals in the dungeon. As the conversation shifts to the golems assisting in their tasks, Rangadoo elaborates on the importance of assigning jobs based on the golems' unique personalities. Clay expresses curiosity about the differences among the golems, while Rangadoo explains the importance of effective management in their operations. Clay continues to learn about the balance between efficiency and quality in their craft, showing her growing understanding of the dungeon's inner workings. Rangadoo then introduces Clay to the daggers he has adjusted for her, showcasing his craftsmanship and encouraging her to choose one. Clay appreciates his efforts but insists that she will find a stronger weapon in the future. Their camaraderie deepens as they talk about personal preferences and the significance of using equipment made by someone close to her. Rangadoo offers her a piece of women's armor, attempting to make amends for the past shortcomings in armor design for female explorers. Clay is initially hesitant, but eventually agrees to try it on, leading to a discussion on the quality and practicality of the new armor. As they wrap up their exchange, Belle praises Clay for her new look and encourages her to embrace her evolving role within the dungeon community. The conversation serves to solidify Clay's understanding of her responsibilities, while also highlighting the supportive relationships she has built within the dungeon, setting a positive tone for her future challenges. Clay is encouraged by Rangadoo to try on a new piece of women's armor he crafted for her, as she wonders if Belle had made any herself. A warning is given about Belle's questionable fashion sense, but Clay decides to give it a shot. As they discuss the armor's flexibility and durability, Rangadoo explains that he used materials from monsters, which impresses Clay. She expresses her gratitude and decides to wear it as they shift their conversation towards her desire to explore the dungeon again. Belle confirms that Clay can explore during her day off as long as she sticks to her work hours, leading Clay to reflect on her father's teachings about exploring dungeons. Clay learns about the risks involved, particularly that even if her recorded copy dies, she could still feel the pain, sparking a serious discussion about the true nature of being an explorer. After agreeing to stricter conditions for exploring, Clay expresses how significant this role is for her identity. As the dialogue unfolds, Rangadoo checks on Clay's ability to navigate the dungeon while she acknowledges the strange energies on the 9th floor. Sensing something unusual, Clay encounters a spirit during her exploration, leading her to ponder the nature of spirits and the dangers they pose. She discovers a treasure chest but recalls the various traps associated with them, demonstrating her cautious approach. Upon successfully avoiding traps, she reflects on her growth and abilities, recognizing the challenges ahead. Returning from her exploration, Clay is greeted warmly by Belle, and their banter reveals a light-hearted moment amidst the dungeon's usual tension. Clay makes observations about the spirits patrolling the area, raising questions about their behavior. This leads into the next phase of their journey, as they prepare for a new challenge involving monster interviews, hinting at both excitement and uncertainty ahead. In the upcoming scene, Belle explains the need to interview potential monster recruits, with Clay questioning the practicality of this approach, considering their nature and abilities. This sets the stage for the unfolding events, where Clay's curiosity and willingness to embrace her position in the dungeon will be tested. Clay discusses her observations about the strange environment within the dungeon, noting how the light and fog play tricks on the senses. As the conversation continues, Clay and Belle reflect on the need to redesign the map of the dungeon's 5th floor, a task that seems daunting to Clay, given her inexperience. Belle encourages Clay to embrace the challenge, believing her fresh perspective will lead to new ideas. As they review the current layout, Clay expresses her concerns about unseen dangers in the dungeon, leading to a discussion about the traps and the monsters that inhabit the space. Belle points out the practical reasons behind these design choices, highlighting the need to balance safety with the interests of the monsters patrolling the area. Clay realizes that the monster's strengths and weaknesses must factor into the dungeon design, suggesting a more thoughtful approach rather than relying on chance. The dialogue shifts as Belle emphasizes that Clay will have the final say in the remodeling process, igniting a spark of confidence in Clay. They continue discussing the number of treasure chests and the freedom Clay has in planning, with Rangidu providing additional insights about the dungeon's layout. Clay takes a creative leap, imagining a dungeon layout that addresses her concerns as an explorer. Belle highlights the unique staging of the dungeon, reminding Clay of the importance of creating an engaging atmosphere. Clay expresses her desire for the dungeon to feel more authentic, realizing the need for the right balance between aesthetics and functionality. Belle leads Clay to a core area of the dungeon, hinting at its significance and the mysteries it holds. As they explore deeper, Clay encounters spirits that bring life to the dungeon's unique characteristics, revealing the complexities of managing such a diverse environment. Belle explains the roles of the spirits, including those that illuminate the space and obscure visibility, further enriching Clay's understanding of her new world. The spirits seem playful yet significant, demonstrating the blend of wonder and caution in the dungeon. Their conversation takes a turn as Clay questions the functionality and purpose of the slimes, uncovering their role in maintaining the dungeon's cleanliness. This revelation showcases Clay's growing insight into dungeon life and her understanding of the creatures that inhabit it. Meanwhile, their discussion about the operational dynamics continues, with Clay and Belle brainstorming practical methods for deploying the slimes effectively in the dungeon. As the scene shifts, the focus moves to the upcoming battle against the 4th floor Guardian, setting the stage for new challenges ahead. Clay and Belle prepare for a meeting with the new king, revealing the complex political dynamics surrounding the dungeon's management. This leads to a lighthearted discussion about Belle's outfit for the occasion, providing a moment of levity before the seriousness of the upcoming confrontation. Finally, Clay and Belle are transported to the capital, filled with anticipation and anxiety about the task before them. They arrive at the arena, ready to face the challenges that await as they navigate the intricacies of their roles in this fantastical world. As the conversation continues, Belle expresses her surprise at not having specified her arrival details to the king, prompting a humorous exchange about her role and attire. Rangert steps in, reminding the others of their equal standings, thus diffusing tension as they are questioned by someone about their presence. Clay is astonished to learn that Belle is considered equal to the king, which sparks a moment of self-doubt as she wonders about her own understanding of manners. Belle introduces herself formally to the king, who reciprocates, leading to a surprising revelation about the upcoming fight, where the king and his knights show skepticism toward battling a woman, Rangard reassures them of Belle's capabilities, clarifying that they are powerful fighters. Belle insists on the conditions of the battle, and the stakes are made clear. Control of the dungeon will be up for grabs. Rangard, curious about a past contract, inadvertently stirs emotions, and Clay finds herself surprised by this line of questioning. Tension rises as someone challenges Belle, and the match begins with a display of magical skill that leaves the knights at a disadvantage. Observing the fight, Clay notes the knights struggle to keep up with Belle's swift and powerful magic, realizing their tactics are flawed. As the battle escalates, Clay considers the knights' unpreparedness and the hidden support magic at play, revealing a complex strategy to deceive their opponents. In the midst of the fight, Rangard surrenders, acknowledging Belle's overwhelming strength, which leads to a mutual understanding of their capabilities. The conversation shifts to future challenges, hinting at a possible rematch within the dungeon. The dialogues draw to a close as Rangard expresses a desire to investigate Clay, raising concerns about her identity, but Belle assures her of her safety. With new friendships forming and past connections being revealed, the characters move forward, ready to embrace their roles and the adventures that lie ahead, leading into discussions about their next moves and the guild's involvement in their lives. As the characters gather to observe the harvesting process, Belle explains how her predecessor established a method for growing goblins from seeds. She shares the challenges faced in the past, noting that early attempts with normal goblins did not yield the desired results, as they were quickly wiped out. Clay listens closely, intrigued by the connection between goblins and the dungeon's ecosystem, while Belle reveals the fascinating compatibility between goblins and earth spirits, explaining their unique reproductive traits. The discussion shifts to the creature's diet, and Belle mentions the specialized nutrient supplement that keeps the goblins in check, warning about the dangers of overfeeding them. Clay expresses her surprise at the complexity of the goblin's life cycle and reflects on how explorers often underestimate their foes. Their conversation deepens as Belle's determination to improve the goblin situation is revealed, showcasing her growth as a leader. Suddenly, they are interrupted by a mention of notorious murderers in the dungeon, stirring concern among the group. Lada warns of their smooth-talking nature and how they manage to evade the guild's scrutiny. The atmosphere becomes tense as they decide to keep an eye on these dangerous individuals while also reflecting on the rules of their dungeon. Clay's realization of the dangerous dynamics at play leads to a discussion about maintaining peace in the dungeon, prompting Belle to elaborate on her role as a leader who will not tolerate rule breakers. The stakes rise as Belle explains their method of dealing with offenders, emphasizing the importance of setting an example. As they prepare for action, the group's tension builds, and they reminisce about past adventures and the lessons learned. Clay reflects on her growth and the new responsibilities she must embrace. With this newfound determination, they prepare to face the challenges ahead in a dungeon where danger lurks around every corner. In the forest, Clay reminisces about her training, feeling nostalgic about her time spent outdoors. Binky, feeling unwell, suggests they call it a day. Clay expresses her concern as Binky departs and comments on the artificial nature of the forest. Kreitza suggests exploring the fields next, sparking a discussion about the roles of golems in the dungeon's operations. Belle explains how they initially assigned tasks based on specialties, but found it more efficient to teach golems instead. The conversation shifts as Clay questions the golem's role in managing the dungeon's tasks, prompting Belle to reflect on the challenges they faced. Meanwhile, Rielmund appears, causing a bit of surprise as Belle realizes he is bathing nearby. Clay marvels at a cute guardian, and they discuss the recent kitchen expansion to accommodate Terura's needs. Rielmund shares his expertise in medicine, revealing his background as a scholar, while Belle compliments his knowledge on the medicinal properties of the ingredients. As they converse, the focus shifts to the intricacies of potion making, With Clay and Belle providing insights and learning from Realmond, Kreitzer then expresses his desire to revisit the hunting grounds, though Belle suggests they delay their trip. The group discusses the unique features of the dungeon, including a crystal that serves a critical function in the dungeon's magic. Belle explains the necessity of swapping out the crystal, enlisting Clay's help in the process. As they work together, Clay learns about the challenges associated with maintaining magical power and the significance of dungeon cores. She expresses her astonishment at the previous attempts to create a dungeon core and reflects on the mastery involved. Belle invites Clay to stay and observe her work as she attempts to harness the magical power from the crystal. Clay is intrigued by the chant Belle uses, which seems to summon magic, and recognizes the profound power involved in dungeon creation. After Belle's attempt with the crystal ends in a minor setback, she acknowledges progress in her skills. Kreitzer eagerly suggests they move on to a special place in the dungeon, and Belle reveals its beauty and significance. They share a moment of understanding about their responsibilities in the dungeon and the bonds they have formed. Rangidu comments on Belle's need for allies, leading to a heartfelt exchange about friendship between her and Clay. The group feels a sense of camaraderie as they express gratitude for each other's presence and support. Clay and Kreitzer begin to plan a special meal to celebrate their newfound friendships, bringing the day's events to a satisfying close.